Welcome to episode 5 of Tool Use. Tool Use is a weekly conversation about helpful AI tools where we teach you what is possible today by showing real examples that we put together. We also talk to other AI tool makers to share their experience and perspective. This week's episode is going to be on voice intelligence. Whether it's controlling your computer with your voice, or by extracting valuable data out of voice clips, there is a lot that you can do to add this extra dimension to your digital experience. This week, we have a special guest joining us for the entire time, who, if not for this person, Tool Use might not have even happened. So happy to welcome Killian Lucas to Tool Use. Killian, how's it going?
Hey guys. Hey Mike. Hey Ty. It's going good. Thanks for having me on.
Happy to have you here. Excited to get into it. I think we have some fun demos today. Should be good. All right, Killian, how did you get into the AI space? You have a pretty unique story.
I guess so, yeah. Well, okay, so ours is kind of similar, first of all, because mine started in 2020 when I started learning to code. And I think it was the same for you, right?
Yep.
Was it 2020? Yeah.
COVID.
COVID was a big thing. GPT-3 was a big thing for me. So it was like GPT-3 came out, and it just was like, wow, okay, this thing that like I felt like everybody around me had been dreaming of finally witnessing, was either going to happen and we're going to watch it happen, or it was going to happen and you're going to participate in it. And a lot of people said that too when the internet happened. So when I felt that, in 2020 when GPT-3 came out, I dropped out of college and started to try to build things, try to build AI tools. And the first thing that happened was kind of like teaching myself to code, first of all, through GPT-3. I don't know if you remember, like in the playground of GPT-3 when like there'd be like basic chat, which was like just the green text. And so I was literally like asking programming questions, and I'd be like, should I use like a polling thing here, or just like a stream of something? And then Richard Stallman called, and then I would like let it autocomplete based on like what like some famous programmer would say. And that's how I learned to code. And which feels very fitting too, that like I think of what we're doing as being this thing that lets people make software in the same way that like YouTube and TikTok and stuff has let people make videos. Like it has enabled a whole generation of people who otherwise could not have participated in that media. Software is a media, and it's not felt like that because so few people can develop it. But so we started in 2020. GPT-3 was the thing that let me and that inspired me to start coding. And then I started then to build things. I made something kind of like custom GPTs, which was water, and tried that. That didn't go so well. And over time, I kind of like started to add tools into it. So it was something that had like custom GPTs that could run different kinds of tools. And there was one tool that it had that totally blew all the other tools out of the water. It could be any of the tools that the AI was using. And it was a code interpreter. So it was able to just flexibly make, what's that like show with like the Inspector Gadget?
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah, it could just become anything. And so as all that was like crashing and I was out of money and I was like, the most miraculous thing happened through AI Tinkerers, which is how we met. But the most miraculous thing happened through AI Tinkerers, which is that I was able to get a job from Joe Heitzberg. And it was this insane thing because before I was going to college to be a middle school science teacher. And before that, dropped out of high school to try to make dubstep, like was in no path towards being involved in tech and thought there was never going to be one for me. But I always had wanted to. And then all of a sudden, Joe saw what I was doing with water. I demoed it at AI Tinkerers and then gave me a job. And it was like this huge celebration of like, oh my God, like in my family, like shit, like Killian's got his life together now, like, and like is on a good path. And then for water, as that was crashing and burning, I was like, okay, let me just take this one piece of this, the code interpreter, and I'll just open source that. no chance this is going to be a big thing. It just is. I just want to get it out there. It's cool, and let's show people it and see what they can build with it. And that was Open Interpreter. And then I told my whole family about the job, and it was a big deal. And as I was driving to my first day, it was a 3-hour commute, and I woke up at like 5 a.m. And on the drive down, Open Interpreter became the #1 package on GitHub. And in the first 20 minutes of that job, I quit. And everybody said, what are you doing? You had this one shot and you blew it in 20 minutes. Like, but I don't know. I knew there was something more interesting happening. There is something in my life with intelligence and code and how I came into it, and that I'm not coming into it from a tech perspective. This is going to sound stupid, but Skrillex, when he started making dubstep, he was like a emo rocker. Like, he was like from first to last was what he was doing. And when he came into dubstep and started making electronic music, he did it from the perspective of somebody who was not somebody who made electronic music. And it was just irresistible that if I could get to come from trying to learn about like middle school education, science education, music, and then get to do something and make it my own, and like, I don't know, just from regret minimization framework of living, quit your job, drop out of school, and build. And so that was the beginning of Open Interpreter, and then really soon after that, Ty.
Yeah, we got together.
Yeah, we got together. And I mean, you actually knew about it too. You saw the launch video for Open Interpreter 2 before it even was out. Yeah.
That's wild.
And then Mike, you came on pretty soon after that too. Did a amazing Android demos of getting Open Interpreter running on Android, and now we're just at the beginning of this. But that's the story of Open Interpreter, and also me getting into code, because it was the first thing I ever open sourced. This was the first open source project. So it's the same story.
Unique perspective that we both have is like coming from different backgrounds and coming into code, and it gives us like such a different perspective on what code can be. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm so excited for like code gen getting so much better, is like people that have wildly different backgrounds that would have never made software are going to have such unique perspectives, and there's going to be such incredible apps that come out of people's brains that would have never had the chance to otherwise. I'm super excited about that.
It's like there was incredible dubstep. They came out when once the tech became, you could make things and you didn't have to be somebody who was trained in it. No, I don't think. Okay, Mike, actually, you have some formal training, or at least have been through,
Yeah, I went to school for software for about 10 months before I dropped out. So I did get, the 101 level of education there. But yeah, even looking at micro SaaS or small SaaS companies that are coming up, it's always the domain experts who are able to take it an outsized impact and really impact their industry, because they know the ins and outs. They know where the pain points are. They are trying to like go through this hyper iteration of a product feedback loop to try to solve a problem, because they know what problem have to be solved already. So by being able to democratize the problem solving ability via code to everyone in the world, basically, it's going to be astronomical, the impact that we're going to have with these hyper focused, hyper decentralized AI tools.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's such a, okay. I don't know how, I'd never thought about that before. This is like obviously all the best things. And like, if you see like all the best like YC companies too, and startups that come out, is like, it's from, okay, I was an EMT and then I became like a developer or got a technical co-founder and then made this incredible startup for healthcare. But it was because I had this life experience and experienced those problems myself that I was able to solve it. God, yeah, that's so true.
Incredible amount of motivation that comes too from solving your own problems.
Yeah.
Like, if you build some sort of sauce just because it makes money in some industry you're not familiar with, you're not going to have the same amount of like fiery passion for building it as something that's like plaguing you every single day. If you can build a thing to solve your problem, there's a great chance that a lot of other people are having the same problem that need it solved as well.
Yeah. There's even a link here, I feel like, to to the way that I think a lot of great art gets made, which is you write for yourself. Like this is I guess the best way we've had of trying to connect problems to people who can fix those problems is that you ideally are technical or you have a technical co-founder, and then what you do is you try to talk to users and try to figure out what the problem is and like get in there, and ideally you have some experience with it, but that's probably not the thing you're doing with your job. So like, because you're also trying to build this software company, so you're talking to people to try to figure out what it is that's wrong. And in a sense, that's kind of like writing for another audience. Like there's this really good Kurt Vonnegut idea that's if you make love to the world, you'll get pneumonia. Which is, I don't know why that's so memorable, and I don't even totally get why he picked that phrasing, but it just means that like, don't try to make something for a bunch of other people. Don't, even if you can, try to make something for other people. You should write for one person, and ideally it should be yourself. And yeah, this is going to be a whole bunch of people writing software for themselves. This is what we're going to get to see in the next few years. But yeah, there's some tie there too, that not only just like problem solving for yourself to build things, but even just the way that, I don't know, like the way that a lot of great things have been built is through individual empowerment and tools to expand oneself and to educate oneself and to further one's reach. Yeah, because I guess you know it better than anyone. And if you're trying to compress that into the bandwidth of you talking to users or users talking to you, it's just never going to be you're not going to be as passionate about it.
Yeah, a lot of the early demos too in Open Interpreter were like solving your own problems with your like media stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like Photoshop and removing backgrounds and modifying videos and things. And so you're kind of solving your own problem with that.
Totally true. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, great conversation. Mike, what do you got for your demo this week?
You guys know by now, I'm team open source, and I'm really trying to just like spread the goodness of these AI tools. There is a paid service called Deepgram, which people really like. It does a good job at taking in voice audio, transcribing it, summarizing it, doing these different intelligent analysis on it. So I thought, let's make like the 100% local one. So between using Whisperfile as a transcription service, Olama as an intelligence service, I built Shallowgram. So Shallowgram is pretty much all the same functionality. I went on Deepgram's website and just like went through the list of what's possible. So you can see when you run Shallowgram, I'll just do the help. We have summarization, the sentiment analysis, intent, topics. As usual, we love our markdown files to export to Obsidian. So you can export to a markdown file by giving in your Obsidian Vault path. You can actually do it where it records live or pass in an audio file. So I'll demonstrate both of those. And then I have full, which I will save to the end to show you guys. So Python, Shallowgram. Let's just do a basic summarize. My name is Mike, and I am the co-host of a great show called Tool Use. A little bit of a short one, but we just want to get through. So, sorry, speaker introduced himself as Mike. He hosts a podcast or radio show called Tool Use. Neat. That's cool. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. So, Shallowgram. This time let's do sentiment as well as intent, and then we'll export it to Markdown. Actually, before I run this, let's just check out the Vault Obscene test, CD test. Okay, so you see we have no files here. Run this through. My name is Mike, and I have two cats. One cat is named Crackers with white fur, and the other is Dandelion with orange fur. And then if we you can see that it creates a new Shallowgram analysis where it has the sentiment positive. Oh, I do. I like my cats. And the intent is just an introduction. I think if I gave a little more context, I might have done a bit of a better job. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's close this one. And then we'll do one. What was the last one? Sentiment topics. So Python, Shallowgram, topics. And then this time we'll do input file and then drag in this little audio file I made right before the show. Now, it's an M4A, which is what QuickTime does by default. This will actually convert it to a WAV file to allow it to work. So topic is tool use, AI tools co-host, Mike Bird co-host, which was the same thing you gave before. Now, one cool thing about this, which I forgot to mention, is you can set the model of Whisper. So by default, it uses Tiny, but if you wanted to use Medium, and you just did Python, Shallowgram, model, Medium, I don't have Medium on my computer. So what it'll actually do is it will ping the Whisper file, Llama file, and download to your computer. So if you want to do something a bit more involved and accurate, but a bit slower, you can download it yourself. Download it via the script, or, get them installed locally so you're good to go. Now, the last one I wanted to save was the full. So Python, Shallowgram, full. Today in Lion's Head, Ontario, is the Terry Fox run. Terry Fox was a Canadian hero who, after a cancer diagnosis and a leg amputation, decided to run across Canada to raise money for cancer research. So this takes a little longer because it does all four, but we have Shallowgram. So it gives you the transcription, the summary of what you're talking about, and the analysis, inform people about Terry Fox and Lion's Head, Ontario, and cancer.
Wow.
Research. So this is 100% local. If you need to download and install the Whisper file, it will require an internet connection for that. But everything else is local. This is all up on my GitHub for you to check out, play with. And I'm sorry, Deepgram, but we're coming for you.
I love the name Shallowgram.
Yes, that's so funny. Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, I love that, Mike.
I was telling Ty, I was working with Claude. So I haven't worked with Python for very long, and especially rich text to make the terminal look pretty. I haven't done that long. So I was working with Claude to get it fixed, and it just wasn't working. But all I had to do was make this terminal bigger so it actually display everything, because it's relative rather than a fixed size. But GPT-01 actually got it for me. This revealed it. So I've been Team Claude for a while now, but 01, now, limit of 30 messages a week through ChatGPT. I don't know if it's going to be a full replacement, but it's nice to have another tool in the toolkit to try to help me learn new technical stuff.
That's so cool.
That's incredible, Mike. Oh my God.
Demo, man.
Yeah, wait, okay, so it's just a llama file that gets run over the raw audio clip. So is that like when you hit enter, that's it recording the full audio clip, or is it passing it in while you record, or how is that working?
Yeah, I haven't done streaming yet, so it does do a full record, passes in the WAV file to Whisper file.
Oh, can you do a custom thing to because I imagine too is like the summarize and intent, or are you just like asking Olama, given this transcript, summarize, given this transcript, pull out the intent, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I made sure to have all four functions individual. Normally I've been using an AI service and we just like append a prompt to it, but I have these separated just so we can say, oh, I want to edit this to be better. Even things like for topics, it used to be like, these are our list of topics. 1, this, 2, this. I'm like, no, all I want is the topics, no preamble. Actually, just adding no preamble to llama prompts has worked so well for me, because it just gets rid of the whole, like, sure, I will happily do this for you. So yeah, that's been my little hack. But yeah, I'd like the ability to make it a little more customized, but it's at the point where we just want to kind of like get it out. Like it's tough in a week to make something like fully done. So
yeah. Do you have thoughts on Nick's like kind of store, like prompt store for what he's doing? Because like that like Omni app for Friend, I don't know if you saw that stuff, but like it's like some of them are summary. Like you can pick which prompt you want to apply over the transcript, and there's a great big community GitHub repo, which is just tons of people doing that. Like I don't know, I can imagine something where like there is a similar task is I have some transcript and I want to have something do something across the transcript. Like it's not the same as like a prompt library for just like talking to a language model. It's something else. And in Nix, it's cool. You can specify both like the thing for the chat version of it, and then also the thing for the over the transcript, like what should be constantly applying to it. And most of the time it's summary, but sometimes it's pull out action items. Like that's one that somebody made. Sometimes it's like a doctor I saw totally like wrote one, and it had a bunch of very specific things that it wanted to pull out of the notes, and like fully local. I don't know. I just how did you pick those ones, like the summary and intent and those like
I literally just went on Deepgram's website. I was like, what are people paying for?
What are they paying for?
Put them out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, like they give $200 credits to everyone, so I'm happy for them for spreading the love a bit, but I don't know. I think
that those credits expire.
yeah, really.
Boy, I was frustrated this morning because I couldn't get the O1 to work.
Oh no!
I was like trying to run a server, and it was like disconnected from Deepgram, disconnected. I spent like an hour and a half last night, and then like an hour this morning trying to just get the server to work.
Shit. Yeah.
But it was just because my Deepgram credits expired because I made that account a year ago.
Yeah.
So then I just made a new Deepgram account, made a new API key, and it worked fine.
Well, since Ty was busy trash talking last week, I'm actually going to hand it over to Killian. So, Killian, I'd love to see your demo, please.
This is good. I have no dog in the race. I can't win, so this is good. I would love to. Yeah, okay, so I just have been having fun actually with some of the stuff that Vercel has put out. And I really enjoyed their Swift template. So this is like a voice agent template that they have that's just running in your browser. And I just wanted to see if in like last minute, before this last night for an hour, I just saw how quickly I could build two of my favorite features from the O1 that we've been playing with. One of them is the ability for it to decide not to respond. Just come on, like it's insane that like there is that this isn't built into everything that's there. Like we'll get into this more with the voice agent when we talk deeper into like what is the unlock with voice agents. But the fact that with GPT 4.0 advanced voice mode, you can say to it, "Hey, don't interrupt me for the next minute." And I saw somebody do this when they were taking notes, and this is totally. I mean, the level of humanness that comes from just being able to interpret when I'm supposed to interrupt. So the way that this works is really dumb. All it is that I say in the prompt to the language model, I say, if you want to not talk, just say pass. Oh. And only talk if you're being spoken to and you're being addressed by name. So ideally that means, and I'll pull up. Hey, Light, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I assist you?
I would just love to know how you're doing.
I'm just a computer program, so I don't have feelings or emotions like humans do. But I'm functioning properly and ready to help you with any questions or tasks you may have.
Okay, that's awesome. I think now I'm going to talk to my friends Ty and Mike. So thanks.
It was nice chatting with you. Have a great conversation with Ty and Mike.
So this is potentially going to work.
I hope it does, because this is something that I wanted to build and like to make a podcast host with this that won't interrupt unless it actually makes sense to. So this is really cool.
I'm glad to be a part of your project.
No.
Just to assist you.
It's
not directed at me, so I'll just wait for further instructions.
You should say pass if it's something that you don't want to respond to.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, pass. Nice. Cool.
No, I should say pass. Pass.
We're dealing with Grok Llama 8B.
Oh, that's what.
So it's a pretty tiny one.
Okay. Yeah,
but it got it a few times, and last night I was trying to like mock do it, where I was like just like talking about other stuff and not directing my attention to it. And it wouldn't say anything, and I thought it was kind of cool that if only we could make it so that you could just say, "Hey, Light, I want you to respond now."
You want to be able to activate me only when you address me directly or use a specific
kind of nice. Okay, so there's one more thing too to my demo, which I tried to build in.
That's already out.
Could you search the web for Open Interpreter?
Yeah.
Well, it did seem to open the web, but it didn't tell me anything about it.
Roll.
Open Interpreter is an open source project that allows users to run code on their computers using natural language interfaces.
That is so cool that you looked that up. Could you maybe look up some news that just happened recently, like things that happened in the last day? Nothing morbid, please.
Yeah.
It's great to see some uplifting news for a change. Those are all heartwarming stories, especially the ones about Trip Abney, the baby who defied the odds and turned one, and the 97-year-old great-grandmother who's staying active at the gym. That's really inspiring.
So that's my demo.
That's great.
Yeah, that's life, and I'm quite into this interview. So this is literally just like it's based very much on it's just literally like a fork of Swift, which is a really great template by Vercel, which uses Cartesia and Grok. So this is totally in TypeScript, in touch for folks out there. And I literally just made it so that it is capable of saying pass when it doesn't want to talk. And if it wants to search the web and just search in an XML tag, it'll actually just say web and then /web. So it's pretty impressive for an 8B. I feel like that it's like at least is able to search the web.
And that the tools are good enough now that you can make that in an hour. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Standing on the shoulders of giants here. You know, I love that.
And look at that.
I didn't respond. Okay, I love that. Great. I love the little gradient behind it too. It's really cool.
I know, right? Yeah, that's all Swift. Thanks, Slay.
Hello.
Great.
Okay, that's my demo.
Yay, that was great. Great demo.
But yeah, that's been cool. And yeah, thanks for checking out my demo, guys.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, threw that together. Vercel's great, isn't it?
Yes.
Vercel's is pretty deep tools
Just set your billing limit.
there.
Well, that's locally run. So they
Nice.
it's still a template, but then I
Perfect.
can't now deploy it to Vercel if I want to. But yeah. Okay, Ty, are you ready to do your demo?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. I feel something kind of cool.
Okay, I'm super excited about this.
So I love the O1, and I love our new app that we have. If you haven't tried it, you should try it. But the thing I didn't like about the O1 is it has a very customer service-y type voice, and I wanted to do more voices with it. And so I built a script that, actually, I'll just show you. Show, don't tell, right? Okay. So if I run a command like pi voice.py, let's see here. How about a misunderstood vampire with a big heart? When I hit that, it's going to run. Okay, so to start this script, I'll kind of explain what's going on here. So it's starting this script. It's going to start profile generation. So we're doing structured outputs from OpenAI. Basically, I'm having it generate a system prompt. I'm having it create a voice. It's going to select a voice based out of all the voices that Cartesia offers. And then it's going to name the voice. Victor Ventrue is the name of our vampire. It's going to also give it an emotion, so it's going to be very curious. And then it's going to have a speed to it as well. And so now we've got the ID of it, whatever else. We're going to save stuff. And then we're going to actually create an open interpreter profile that way. And so now it saves to the clipboard. So I can just hit paste. Oh, nope, did not want to save it to the clipboard. Just kidding. It was supposed to. I even said it copied it, but it didn't. Okay, let's try that again. If I just run this command now, we've made a profile called Victor Ventrue. It has its own custom system prompt, and then it has its own voice for Cartesia. And theoretically, I should be able to scan this and be able to talk with a misunderstood vampire. And it works for anything, too. So, I mean, you can have it be whatever voice you want to out of its list, but it decides which one makes the most sense in the moment, which is kind of cool. Let's see if this works. Okay. Let me turn my volume all the way up. So now we're going to connect to our...
You can hold the white circle below to speak to me. Try asking what I can do.
What's your name?
I'm Victor Ventrue, your career-vetted vampire host for this evening's podcast. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. What would you like to chat about tonight? Let me know what you'd like to do next.
What do you like? What kind of personality do you have?
Oh, what a delightfully repetitive inquiry.
What a thing, man.
Quite an eclectic taste. I adore the richness of human culture, art, literature.
Okay,
music.
well, that's
But if I'm
That's fine. So the last time I had it make a vampire one, it actually chose like a Transylvania, like kind of like Eastern European voice. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Didn't do it this time, but still pretty cool. But let's try do it. What? Let's do. I don't know. Let's do
Oh, this is so cool.
something like do anime girl. Strawberry.
Nice.
Let's see what that gets us with. So it's going to make a little script, use structured outputs, make a name. It's going to call it Kira. Cool. And then let's see if it's saved with the clipboard, please. Oh, there you go. Now, finally, the clipboard thing works. Okay, cool. So now it's going to run that command. Let's scan this QR code again and see what Kira sounds like. Any second. But it should pick the right name. So I basically just give it, here's all the names you can pick from. Which name do you want to pick based on the character you created? And it actually creates it pretty well. Well, let's see. This should sound like an anime girl from Germany. Hopefully.
Hi. You can hold the white circle below to speak to me. Try asking what I can do.
What are your hobbies?
Konnichiwa. As an anime-loving podcast host, my hobbies are totally kawaii and exciting. I'm obsessed with cosplaying my favorite characters and attending anime conventions. But I'm not geeking out over the latest anime series. I love trying my hand at making adorable bento boxes. What about you? Do you have any fun hobbies?
Okay.
Let me know what you'd like to do next.
I don't need to have that whole conversation with it.
I do. Yeah, wait, I definitely do. What are there podcasts? Or wait, no. Are there great animes in Germany?
It's a great question. Let's take a quick peek at some popular animes in Germany. One moment, bit. Oops. Looks like we need to install a library first.
No. Just vibes wise from your personal experience.
Oh, an SI. I totally misunderstood. You want the real scoop from me, right? Well, as an anime fan living in Germany, I can tell you that anime is super popular here. We have some amazing conventions like Anime Marathon Hamburg and Animagic. Personally, I love how German dubs of anime are top-notch quality. My favorite local anime shop in Berlin always has the latest merch. What else would you like to know about the anime scene here? Let me know what you'd like to do next.
Ty, that is so cool. That's really, really cool. Yeah.
The other thing that I wasn't able to get working in time, but I actually had it generate all of its own skills. And then I had a separate LLM call that actually creates all of those skills into its own class. And then I define those in the system prompt. So it basically generates its own computer API to be able to use.
No way.
And then
The German anime computer API.
whatever skills it wants to make.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, here's the skills that it has. And then I just kind of blindly tell Claude, like, all right, go make it happen. Like,
Yeah.
go make whatever those skills are into actual Python functions, define them as a part of the class, find that class, and then just have that, there's the initialization code in the O1 profile, and it defines that profile, and then it will add that to the system prompt. Didn't get that working in time, but like, pretty cool, because you can actually like give it a single prompt, and then it'll create a voice, it'll create the speed, the emotion, and then the computer API, and then its full backstory and system message. So
It is amazing. Oh, that's so cool, Ty.
yeah, kind of fun. So wow, I loved the O1. I just really didn't like the voice. So I did my own.
You really didn't. Yeah, you really didn't. That is great. So wait, does Cartesia have a LiveKit plugin?
I do. Yeah.
They do? Oh, okay. Wow. That's great.
Yeah, you can also use your own voice with it too. So you can do voice cloning and then define it as a voice.
Wow.
And so you could actually have this thing create your own voice based off of a thing. You could have it make you. You could we could combine Mike's script here.
Yeah.
Your Shallowgram, record a wave file. You create the embeddings out of it, and then you just send the embeddings to Cartesia of the actual audio, and then it just uses that as a voice. And so you could actually like clone yourself and talk to yourself through the O1, which would be super cool. There's a lot of room for fun stuff there, but it's a profile there too. So it's not just like adding a system message, it's actually creating a Python profile with all of the open interpreter settings. I initially had it to where it could like, all right, pick whatever settings you want to, but then of course things go off the rail and it tries to pick models that don't exist anymore. So anyway, kind of fun. That's my whole demo.
That's so sick. That's so awesome. Okay. So I on mine too, I was up last night looking at the Cartesia documentation, which I imagine you ran into this too, but they're just using embeddings for those voices. So like Wise Man embedding is here, and then the voice that I had for mine is here. I forget what I picked. The idea that like all you're doing is matrix multiplication here, and you could find something in between those and like mix, it makes me feel like there is a really interesting future for that thing that you've built, because if this thing is able to just like sample from a few of those, or even like, I don't know, if it's if it's able to be cloning voices and pulling in other things too and generating those embeddings and then getting closer to them and things, like that's such an incredible like latent space to be exploring. And it's also funny, I guess, that we all have a number. Like each of us has like we're somewhere in that latent space. It's our voice.
That's true.
Well, and even just like the emotions, like if it like Ty's was like very curious, but like each different emotion's gonna have a different number. Like, are there emotions that we as humans aren't capable of picking up, but computers can be able to pick up? Be like, oh, you are like in between these two states. Like I could nudge you this way or nudge you that way based upon certain inputs. Like there might be like a degree of like human analysis that we didn't even know is possible based on like the fine tuning of these different matrices.
Do you guys know about dorselessness? If one person is watching this, I really hope it would know about that. But just this dumb video from a few years ago, which was about like, it was like by Pilot Red Sun, those super weird abstract videos. They're like super freaky, like kind of started by Egoraptor and then just devolved. And it was about a fictional pill you could take that would give you new emotions. So it starts out, it's a freaky, like creepy infomercial, and it's showing you like this pill makes you happy. And this other one, like, oh, now we have sadness too, if you want to fill the depths with that. And then they just keep going and exploring like no words for nothing for this emotion. So it's like, and this one, we found out how to go way beyond dorselessness. And they take it and like, it's like wild, like, and they're freaky. And there's a bunch of emotions from that. And that just reminds me that like, I guess you could just keep, what does, you know, like Thea doing, what was it, repenge? Push it. What's a language model that's 10 times happier than happier? Be like, well, what does a voice sound like that's like 1,000,000 times happier than any possible? Like we could figure out what the vector is and just shoot it off that way.
That's wild. I was playing with because they have the emotions in Cartesia too. And so I was playing with the voice. I had one working earlier that was like an angry Southern cowboy. Boy, he was mad. It was wild. And it was like a Southern accent. They got that nailed, and then it was like clearly angry, which is such a crazy thing for it to just take a voice embeddings, apply some sort of thing on top of it that makes it sound angry. You can even slow it down or speed it up. So they have a really cool platform. Cartesia, I'm a big fan.
Yes. Yeah, totally. God, I wonder if it is the same vectors they apply to get those different emotions. Like if curious is a way that they contort the embeddings of that particular voice to make it more curious. Or if they record the voice as curious and they record it as angry, and if they have to do that, I wonder.
They have like so many different emotions, though. I feel like it's got to be more computational in that. Like, it's probably like kind of like a voice mix of sorts. Shifting in one way or another. Anyway,
okay, but there's more attention and love to your demo, though. Real quick, that was awesome, and the idea of like you're just asking for like just an entity to be summoned. Like you've just made like a summoner. Like perfect summoner that gives a voice and a backstory. This idea of skills is wild, that it would have like blood sucking skill or something. Like what is this like?
Skills.
That's really, really interesting. And obviously too, I mean the application of that too towards like, I imagine if you asked it for something like, somebody who's like a salesperson, they would have a particular kind of voice and particular kind of skills that would actually be relevant to that domain. And if you ask it for, as opposed to that, or like a therapist, maybe it can search the DSRM-5 and also has a much calmer voice or something. And I don't know. That's just, there's something very, very interesting and meta about what you've just built that takes profiles to a whole new place, like generating profiles.
A personality, the voice, and the skills. It's kind of like making your own human of sorts. It's an conversation.
Yeah.
I did have like the standard computer API stuff at the bottom of the system prompts, so they still can, if it knew to try to search the web.
I love that. Yeah.
I don't know why it tried to do that, but I mean, that's the thing I said.
Do you still have it up, by the way? The same chat?
Connect.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, just only because there was this moment that it had, it really sounded in a German accent, like she said, it's great. And then I looked at it and she actually said sugoi.
Oh.
I don't know if you caught that either. Like there's this like perfect moment of like sugoi.
Weird. It's crazy too, because they have all these different language voices, and you can they'll speak in any language. So you can have like the American Southern male voice, and it'll speak like Hindu. Like it'll do it. It's kind of crazy, and it applies the accents and everything. I don't know how they do all of that. It's really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really, really amazing.
All right, Ken, what do you think like the unlocks are for like voice controlled agents?
Okay, so first of all, there is a big difference, I think, between the voice control agents that we've all been used to for a while that are text-to-speech and speech-to-text, and then the speech-to-speech stuff. Like something that I wanted to get into with you guys on this was the fact that we've all been thinking about interruption and trying to think about, when do you give control of the conversation to somebody else? It comes very naturally to humans. When you have the button, so we've thought about this with the O1, this is just manual control over when it is that you want to be interrupting. But the only reason that really made sense was because of the limitations of text-to-speech and speech-to-text. You have fully speech-to-speech systems that can tell when to give control of the conversation to somebody else. Then you can do the thing that solves, but you don't need the button. You can just tell the voice agent, hey, don't interrupt me for the next 5 minutes. I just want to ramble. And, there'll be a bunch of moments where it's perfectly silent, but a speech-to-speech agent can pick up on that. So I saw some demos of folks doing this, that they'll go on runs and use GPT-4o advanced voice mode, and it'll just say, That's all it says while they talk, and they'll go long spaces without talking. And then finally they can say something like, I just would love for you to help me think through that, as you could ask some probing questions about those thoughts I was having. It's pretty clear that the bandwidth of communication over voice is much higher than it is over text. So speech-to-speech voice agents unlock that. I actually think that text-to-speech voice agents did not unlock all too much of that. Like, it made it so that you could do it without your hands, and there's extraordinary accessibility applications for being able to do that. And that technology should be pushed as far as possible. It can do incredible things for the world. But there are so many more things that get to come from speech-to-speech. Because then you actually can encode the full meaning of what you're saying. So voice agents unlock not only bandwidth, tremendous amount of bandwidth. This is all really subtle and hard to describe. Like the obvious ones of like sarcasm is not what I'm talking about. There's something much deeper to the fact that like probably the most important one to me would be exchange of control over the conversation and knowing when the right time to chime in is. It's not really about sarcasm or emotions or those kinds of things. It's something deeper. So there is a huge unlock in that. For some folks, definitely myself included, it's speed too. Is just that if you had something that really was able to very quickly do things, I can speak much faster than I type. So that's another kind of bandwidth. What's interesting though is that this is all modulated by culture and when you're in public in an important way. So like I really think the decision to have Siri come up with typing is a really, really good choice for America, because apparently in China and other parts of the world, it's much more normal to have voice agents, to have voice assistants. You can be on the subway and you're just like talking to your phone. It's not a big deal. I was actually like that with Siri when it first came out, and my friends hated me. I was so annoying. Like I'd just like yell something at it in the grocery store. It's not as socially acceptable here in public to talk to voice assistants. So I think it's going to be a long time before that changes and you get voice assistants really being used in public. It might even be the case that more direct approaches with the brain happen sooner than the social change, in which case we'll never see voice assistants in public because you'll just be able to communicate it through the thought. So in private though, and for accessibility, what we have now is just needs to be deployed as quickly as possible, and there can be great gains to be had on that, great unlocks. Speech to speech is going to unlock so many cool things that like I know that we all want to be able to like dump a lot of our ideas down and maybe go on a run, and maybe it'll seem like society will treat it like when you're on the phone with somebody because it'll be so natural, so then maybe it can kind of become more culturally accepted. But yeah, it depends what type of the technology you're talking about, but across any dimension here, voice agents unlock so much.
It's interesting because I use speech almost every single day, multiple times a day, prompting agents. I do super whispers. It's the best tool for it right now, but press a keyboard hotkey, and then I just talk to my computer and I'll just talk big, giant, long engineering prompt, send it into O1 preview or Claude 3, but I don't want it to speak back to me. I want to read the responses back. And so like it's so much faster to talk than it is to type, but it's way faster to read than it is to hear, which is a really interesting thing. So like when these speech-to-speech things, I think there's a huge unlock there, and there's a lot of emotion and a lot of additional data that comes from that. But I wonder if there have to be another adapter that's like speech to text on the backside of it, so I can read it instead of have to listen to it. But yeah,
Hilarious to get transcribing the voice that comes out of the AI, and so you can read it. That's so true. Yeah, I do prefer to read it too. That's actually interesting too, that because speech to speech stuff is talking speed. So you could imagine one that's trained to speak incredibly quickly and incredibly clearly for a transcription service, such that you can't have that experience of like when you turn off the voice, it just like all the text on screen, but can still consume everything. I guess this is where it'd be interesting to at some point have Justin Uberti from Fixie on and talk to him about this, because he's been building Ultravox, which is exactly that. Goes from speech and then just outputs from the LLM text, so that you get all that information still from it. But who knows if interruptions is involved with that and how he's thinking about that. There's been a lot of thought into it, but yeah, I feel the same. But it'd be nice to have something that would still just read the text very quickly too.
Love it. And beyond the interface of speech to speech or whatever modality you feel is best for the situation, what areas of AI tooling is still like ripe for innovation?
I think that there are computers in front of us that look the same way they have looked since 1984. That the ideas of Windows, files, folders, this has all been around for a very long time. And I think the most exciting is just computer interfaces, which sounds really general, but it really is a specific human experience of trying to interact with a computer, to interact with a word processor, to interact with an IDE. That's where there is so much left to do. I mean, we really have just barely scratched the surface of what having an AI means for getting to change the way that you interact with your computer. And I don't imagine a lot of it will be through voice. I think that there are especially because if you look back, like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Apple used to have this hilarious little like microphone thing on their widgets back in like 2007, I think. You could hit it and say, what time is it? You could hit it and say, what's the weather in Seattle? And it worked. It just did speech to text and then threw that into like something kind of googly, maybe into Google itself, and it worked. I think we would have seen for that kind of thing, like, I don't know, it's getting much, much better. And it was terrible, to be clear. And it usually got it very wrong. Misheard me, usually. But honestly, I think that the big unlocks for AI tooling, the areas where the innovation is yet to happen, and I think it's the most potential to happen, is in computer interfaces. How do I think about files? How do I think about folders? What is the new terminal? What is the new Unix? Like, what does it mean to think about an application and the boundaries between applications? There is a lot of room to try to break that apart and try to find new primitives. These foundations are literally older than any of us. We just grew up with them, and so they feel right. And that's always a hint, I feel like, that something is about to change.
Thanks for being on. It was really fun. We should do this again with more voice agents in the future. I feel like we can do this as cyclical episodes. It would be fun.
They'll be better.
Yeah, once this auto stuff really gets good.
And we all know you're founder, creator of OpenInterpreter. Anything else you want to plug? Have people check out while they're here?
Just tool use, probably. Subscribe to tool use. Link in the description. You guys got a Patreon?
We should.
All of my heart is in OpenInterpreter. So OpenInterpreter, but also all the great things that people are building in the OpenInterpreter community. And a lot of that too is really becoming the hub through tool use. I feel like finding out the most interesting things that people are building in this. And tool use is the place where it's happening. So, yeah, a lot of love to you guys.
Yeah, this is great. Awesome. See ya.